మినిట్స్ వాడు అవ్వగానే జాయిన్ అవుతాను.
ఓకే. అయితే నేను Hello everyone. This is Navya. Hello everyone. This is Navya from CodingCubs. Yesterday we have discussed about the concepts in C like loops, operations, and iterations. Now this is a Python session. Here we have the coding mentors like Chinni Krishna, Anish, and myself, Navya. Today our topics are gonna be strings, loops, and also exception classes. So first, let's start with loop strings. Chinni Krishna. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Chinni Krishna, you can start your session now.
Okay. Hi guys, I am Chinni Krishna. I'm coding mentor of the CodingCubs, and today my topic is I'm going to explain the loops concept in Python. Wait a second, guys. I'm going to share my screen. Hello. Means what are the loops in the Python? Means loops is nothing but a repetitive execution of the same block of the code over and over is referred to an iteration. And there are two types of loops in the Python: for and while loop. While loop. The while loop keeps repeating an action until an associated condition returns a false. So its syntax is in while loop. First, we should mention the condition. If the condition satisfies only, then it enters into the statements or execution block. Otherwise, it moves away from the while loop. Okay, next. So this is the condition. This is the flowchart of the while loop. If the condition satisfies, it moves into the while block, or else it exits. Means if it is a false statement, then it exits to the it exists from the while and it go to the rest of the means it executes the rest of the code. Next, in while loop with else, this is repeatedly condition, and if it is true, executes the statement 1, else it executes the statement 2. If after the execution of the while loop, it moves to the rest of code. Now I am going to show an example of a while loop.
Sorry for the interruption. Actually, you haven't shared your screen yet.
It's showing that.
Now it has shared.
No, in previous one I shared. No, wait a minute. No, is it visible?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, guys. I'm going to. Is it visible now? My PPT.
No, your PPT isn't visible yet.
Wait 1 minute then. Some. Now is it visible?
Yeah, it is visible.
Yes.
You can
Okay.
continue.
Hmm. So these are the two loop control statements in a Python, while and for. As I tell that while we before only we give the condition. So if it is true only, then it's go to the statements, or else it moves away from the for loop, I mean while loop. And this is the flow chart. If the condition satisfies, then it enters into the while loop. Else, it moves from the while loop and exits the while loop and moves to the rest of the code. It executes the rest of the code. So these are the conditions. If while condition is satisfied, then statement 1 will be executed, or else statement 2 will be executed. After the certain amount of means certain amount of the time, when the conditions means when the variable reaches its condition time, then it execute means it exits from the while loop and starting execution of rest of the code. And this is a flowchart of while with if and else condition. Now I am going to show with an example. 1 minute. Now is it visible?
No, you haven't shared the screen.
Oh, 1 minute. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Actually, this is my first session.
Yeah, this is visible.
Yes.
Continue.
So, hmm. You all know what are the variables and how to declare a variable in Python. So I'm directly going to a loop statements. Even you know about the indentations. So 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute, guys.
Chini, is there any issue? Hello.
Wait. 1 minute, Karthik. Actually, there's a technical issue with me.
నేను వీడియో
1 minute. So this is the conditions, guys. When I is equal to 0, first it is I is equal to 0, then condition is satisfied, then it moves to the if means a statement 1. This is a statement 1 actually. So when we run, we will get the input of 0 1 2 3 4 5. After reaching 5, means after reaching the I value 5, then we will be exited from the while loop. And next, while with an if and else. So 1 minute. Now I'm going to show how to print consonants in a string. So this is my and here R is used for the checking the conditions. Yes. Now I'm entering a string here, means it's my name Chini. I'm entering. So it takes the length of a string and it checks the means for every it starts from zero from in length. If CHNN is enough, so it's a 6 letter. So it starts from the 0 to and it reaches to end of 5. Means as we know that it starts from 0 and ends to the n minus 1, means length of n minus 1. So in first condition it's an I of 0, means I of 0 is here, it is C. So C is not there in C is not there in these any of the alphabets, means it's a constant, not a vowel. So it will continue and it continues and it's moved to the else block. So it will print first letter C. Yeah, and it again it increments the value of I to 2. Next letter is H. Even H is also not there in these blocks. So it moves and here it prints. So same like that only, means for every iteration it will goes on, it moves on. Next 1 minute. Next it's now coming to the for loop. Here the range function. Before the for loop, I will let you know what is the range function meaning. Range function is used to generate a sequence of integers starting from the 0 and it will be incremented by the default value. Means if we not given any value, then it will be incremented by 1 till j minus 1 syntax. So it starts from the means it start from the 0, or by default we means if you want to include directly we can include, or else we can go to the stop and step size. Step size is not mandatory for all. Means for every function step is not mandatory. So we can directly go with start or stop. And then it's a range function. As I told, it starts from the 0 and reaches to n minus 1. So range of 10. Range of 10 means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It will goes on to ninth index. And next is I means we are mentioning here step size is 2. Step size is 2 means it will be incremented by the plus 2 value. If we mention plus 3, then it will be incremented to plus 3 value up to j minus 1 j minus 1 term. And here we are printing the numbers in a descending order, means by using negative index of steps as we will be printing. And so in a for loop is usual to iterate over the elements of the sequence such as lists and tuples. For var in sequence, here sequence will be in range of means range of n. When we enter the nth element, it will iterate to the nth. And this is the code. This is the flowchart of the for loop. Each element in sequence, if yes, then the statements will be printed, or else it will be exited from the loop. And next, for loop in the range, I'll show this. Wait 1 second, guys. Yes. If we declare a is 5 for I in range of a, then we'll be getting, so here a is 5 means from the 0, as I said, it will start from the 0 and it will be reached to the n minus 1. So here a is 5 now, so 5 minus 1 means 4. So it will be iterated from the 0, as it will as I said that it is a default, it will be increment by value of 1. So it will be printed from 1 to n minus 0 to n minus 1. As it is 5, then it will be printed to 0 to n minus 4. I will show the for with if and else. I will be printing vowels as in Python. Input will be, default will be, it will be a string. If I in a IOU, then the vowels will be printed here. 1 minute, guys. Minute, 1 minute. Yes. So it will be started, and then I'm giving here Chini is my name. So it's my text. It will be started from the 0, and if it is in this AEIO, means if 0, it will start from the 0 to the n minus 1 term. So if a of 0 means here text of 0 means it will be in C. The first character in my string is C. If C is not present in this, then it will be not printed, or else if it is an vowel, it will be printed. So this is the for with an if and else condition. And next, my friend Anish will going to continue about the strings concept. Thank you.
Hello. Navya, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, it is audible. You can
Audio.
continue.
Okay, sorry. Let me share my screen. I'll continue with the strings. Continue with the strings. Hello. Okay. Yeah, okay. Let me screen is visible also. Okay. Okay, let me start with strings now. So in previous, like I took the previous session also, and for Python last like before 2 weeks also, there I mentioned that like we can say like in C we have character as a data type, but we don't have a like data type character in Python. Especially like we can't define A is equal to C like that. Like there is no character in Python. Like we have to define it as string only. There is like string is like a method, like a data type in Python, not like there is no character or something. So okay, I think my like compiler is visible right now. So I'm gonna start coding right now. Let me just take a string right now. And I think everyone is like everyone knows how to declare a variable and everything. This is how you declare a like string. If I wanted to declare it like this, like when I'm giving the string to the compiler, I have to declare like this. Or if I have to take the input from user like this, I have to take like this input of something like enter a name like that. Okay, let's have two variables right now. Sorry, I have to declare it like that. And after that, like the like let me print this both variables. And okay, a and a, given the value to a, but for now it will ask me for the value of b. Enter a name. I can give Chinny. It will declare like string and Chini. This is like strings and everything is like simple compared to C. You don't have to mention the format specifiers and everything to like %ls, %c. It's like a bit confusing in C than in Python. So when I take like this, like these are the like how do you declare and everything. And like strings, as I said, it's like a data type and it has its own methods, like various methods, like ends with, starts with, split and everything. I don't have to explain it everything right now. Like you when you start coding and like any like problem solving problems, the requirement of your like program and your logic, you can search like what function do you need. That is a flexibility when it is with Python. You don't have to remember everything and all the functions and everything. You can just like, if you know what you want to do into the in the program, you can just search it in the net and you'll get the function and you can use it. For now I'll take another string, like let me just write my name Manish. I'll show you like 5 minutes ago, like Chini explained how what are loops and everything. Let me see, let me show you how you access elements in uh, this thing like strings. I can take length of variable string. After that, just print the like how many times, like see, like string. Okay, so I forgot to tell this. Like when you like you have an array data type in C. String is just like an array in like Python. You can just there is no difference between string array and like in a string, but then like string is an immutable thing. You just can't modify like how you modify an array element. You just can't modify every element in string. Like there are different functions for you have to use, like replace and everything. I said like where there are various methods in string data type. So let me just like print like this thing. It will like, as you can see, range function starts from 0 and it ends at length of a. My length of a is 5, but it just ends at like 4. So it will print all the elements for me right now. When if I print like this, like a and I such, okay. If you want them like beside and everything, you can like do like this. Like as in the last week also I explained the printf functions and everything. You can, okay, sorry, wait a second. Okay, sorry. Okay, 1 minute. After this, like in the advantage in Python is that you can directly access through the string. Like if I enter for I in a, and after that, like I print the I, and I goes through every variable a n I s h. So if I do this like right now, I'll get all the variables Anish and Anish. Okay, so let me comment this down. You'll be clear with the second loop. So you can see that it goes to every variable, like every character in the string and everything. So, and for accessing of elements, like we have an like new concept in Python. It is called as slicing the strings and everything. So let me just like print out a slice. Format is like you have to like give a square bracket and a colon, and the left side is where you want to start printing, and right side is where you want to stop the printing. Now a is a string, so I want to start it, and it's like let me just type 0. That's where I want to start. So I want to end at s, and s is like 0 1 2 3, so I'll enter 4. So as I said, like this is same as in range. It will stop at like penultimate character. So I'll comment this down also for clarity. Like don't have to see everything. So let's see in sh, like not h, like last character. I left out the last character. So I can, if I give like this, if I want the entire string, I can print a, but you use slicing when you want to access only the first part, the second part, like middle part. When you write programs, it now like seems reasonless to access middle elements at a leg. But when you go to problem statements and everything in lead code or something, they'll ask you how like like the logic will be like you have to access the middle element in a part. So you use slicing a lot because in Python when you deal with strings. So you have to understand the basics of the format of the slicing. You can see that it prints the entire string right now. So if I can like, if I don't mention the starting element and I print like 4 here, so it will take this left side will be the default character, like default will be 0. It will start from the 0, and this time we have given 4, so it ends at 3, 0 1 2 3, and like it's like the same thing, Anish, okay, like that. After that, and in strings, look, the important methods, as I said, there are many methods in Python. Let me just go through some of them. I'll declare another variable. Let me just take an input from the. I'll give an input. Enter and string. Now I'll go like I'll enter the string, and after that I'll write the logics right now. Let me just, as I said, string is an immutable thing. You just can't, let me show the error. How does it like look? I have to assign, like I want to access the first element. 0 to 1 means the first element. As I said, zero, it starts from 0 and ends at 1 before the 1 means it's 0 only. So let me just assign like it is not, okay, it's a only. So I'll do like this, like it is capital A, I want small a. If you do this on a list or an array, it is possible, but in string it shows an error. We'll take the string right now, Anish, and after that I'll get an error. That name Anish, okay, not like this. Not this error. I don't want this error. Mention this. Okay. String object does not support item assignment. Okay. So how do you solve this problem? If it is an immutable object, how do you solve it? Like there is a function for this. You have to use replace, and you want to change the value a. I'm giving the value Anish right now, so I'll give the value Anish. So I want to change a. Okay, just let. it will be clear if I have the value here. So yeah, okay, wait a second. Sorry. Niche. So I want to change this first A with B. I'll do like this. And let me just print the B after this to see if it assigned or not. Okay, sorry. It returns, sorry. Okay, I have to print this one only. Doesn't change, you have to return, it returns. See, it replaces the value A with like character A with B. After that, there are like small functions like B dot starts with. It will return true if it starts with the same character, like what the string I entered. Now the value is uninitially, so I'll enter with A. After that, let me go to another function with it's like another function is ends with. It will return true if it ends with a string, or if it returns false when it doesn't end with that particular string. It doesn't end with the value s, so it has to return false. Let's see, true and false. It starts with a and it doesn't end with b s h, so it returns false. After this, let me just take in another string. Okay, let me just clear this all thing. A is any, okay, let me see, not any, okay, coding comma cups. So I want these both words as like coding and cups. I don't want the comma in between, like how do you do that differently? So you can split the thing. There's a split function and you have to mention where you want to split this. uh, and if you assign this to a variable, it will create a list to it, an array, and it will store the values, the different values in it. Let me just print the L also. Coding and cups adds different elements. This is a very important method. Like when he'll given like when it is a problem statement or a user, like when you solve something, he'll like they'll given entire string. Like they'll write something like coding cups, like something blah 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 space blah blah blah, like this. And you want every different, like, he'll say that you have to go through every word and say find the length and everything. Then you want the every word and the string as a different element in a list. You use that and it will be like coding and easel and something like these all are different elements right now. Okay, sorry, let me just it all comes as in because okay, I'll divide with I have to mention which character do I want to divide the thing with, split the thing. I've mentioned the space. It will wherever the space comes, it will divide and add the element to the list. So I think after this, like, and the like advantage in string declaration by yourself is like you can define multiple line strings also, like this. Anish. After that also I can do Anish is. After that, uh, coding cup member, coding cups member. When I print this value right now, okay, this reassignment, I'll take another variable. After that, I'll print C. See what does it print out. See, multiple lines. Anish is coding customer. This all this multi lines and everything when you declare and everything is just for like decoration purpose. Like when you solve something with problem statement or anything, when you solve the thing, it is important to get the output. But it is very important to get how they mention the thing they want the output. You have to mention it like that only. If you want the answer Anish is coding cups, if you print in the same line, it doesn't like test case doesn't pass. So you have to print the thing like how they want to do it, like the problem statement wants, like then only the test case will pass. After this, okay, we'll go through concatenation. That is important. Wait a second, let me just this is keyword. So string one is like Anish, and string 2 is Chini. Let me print str1 plus str2. What does it mean? Anish and Chini. Okay, if you want to like you can do that and store the variable like str1 is equals to str1 plus str2. It reassigns the value and stores the value whole value into the same first string only, so the value gets reassigned. Like I'll print str1 right now. Sorry, this print out Anishine, because like value of the str1 now is like I concatenated the result, and the value of str1 now is like Anish and Chennai. And you can do that with any variable also. This concatenation will also be very useful, because like when you want to assign you'll remove the things easily. Like when you want to split the things, you can do it easily. When you want to join the things, it will be a little bit tough, because as I said, the test case should pass, and they want to like they want the output in certain kind. You know the answer, how you know the logic, how to print the value and everything, but you, if you don't know how to print the value, like join the thing, print it in a straight line, or two multiple lines, like you can't just pass the test case. So after this, there are some more methods. Like there is an important method in strings. Let me just say, let me define an variable as2, and print off Anisha, and after that I'll print this one, format, and format of a. It will take the format function takes the variable and prints in this like curly brackets. It prints the value of this variable in the curly brackets, because when you like you can use concatenation, but when you want to use concatenation, the both data types you were adding should be of string type, similar type. So this value is an integer value, but this isn't string. So when you want to use like without concatenation the string parameters, like if you can do that with the same thing like Anish. After that plus, okay, not like that. Wait a second, sorry. String of a. Let me just see what does this print out. Yeah, same thing. You can use the casting operator and change the data type of this variable to string. Then you can use this plus operator is concatenation. Then you can use that same thing. You can use replace, like as I said, like you can use these functions, or you can use the casting technique, whichever you find easy. You can use that. And there are many functions in like Python with strings related. You can go through them. Like as I said, like you don't have to remember everything. Like I've shown you the most important things, like starts with, split, ends with, and like and one of the important things, like basic things, is like changing the characters from lowercase to uppercase and everything. Let me just write an variable, and after that I'll print a dot lowercase. Okay, this is slower, so I'll change this to upper. You can see the result. So, sorry. Okay, it printed two times. It's like now the value, all the values in this, like change it to the upper value. After that, let me just print. I'll take another variable b, the capital values. Okay, capital. See. And uh, I'll take all the values capital. After that, I'll show you the swap case function also. Let me just go through b dot lower. Let's see what does it print out. Anish and Anish. So after this, we'll take a multi-character string, like there are lowercase letters and uppercase letters. Anish, okay, there is Anish. A is capital letter. Like all are the lowercase letters. So let me just do print of c dot swap case. It what does this swap case function does is like it changes the lowercase letters to uppercase and uppercase to lowercase. You don't have to write a logic like for loop logic for doing that. There's a function for here, And if you want to know the what the logic is, you can go through like write a function, take a value, like take the value and check if it is a lower value or a lowercase letter or an uppercase letter. You do that. Yeah, I forgot, almost forgot. You can do that with like there's a function called is lower. So let me just use an if logic. Is okay. A dot. No, I'll take a value d is equals to b. After that, if d dot is lower, I'll pass print. Is lower. What does it? Is lower does it? It checks the value if it is lowercase or uppercase. If it is a lowercase, it will return true. So if it returns true, the if condition passes and it comes into the print and print. I'll print one. I'll take this out. I'll comment this out. Wait a second. See one, like because D is in lower letter, lowercase letter. Let me just define a capital letter. We'll see. There is an output. No, there is no output. Same thing goes with if D dot is upper. So it returns a boolean value true or false and everything, and after that we'll print true. Let's see if it does it print true. Yeah. Last in the last session, I explained the conditional statements also. If elif and else, I'm using two if loops and it checks two loops, and the two loops are there like true. It will return two times. Or if I use the elif here, it does like if okay. Let me take another variable. D1 is equals to smallest. Okay, sorry. Why am I printing this? Okay, I'll change this one. So now it has to print only one value. See, because the first condition is there. If is there, it doesn't come to elif when I use elif. If I don't use the thing, elif, I'll take out the elif, print the two values because two values are correct. Yeah, the this thing with strings. Okay, let me just show my PPT as there is something else in this. I'll see in a second. Memory allocation is not important. Right? And accessing, I showed you how to access the variables and everything. Strings is just like an array, and I've shown you the slicing operator. Okay, this one. We'll see what is this repetition operator. Okay, one second. Let me take a string Anish, and after that print a cross 2. Like multiplying the value, but it's not an integer value, so it will repeat itself. Anish and Anish. That's it. Okay, let me see. Anything else? I've shown you the format also, format function also. Okay. Yeah, that's it. The strings, and as I said, like if you want to, like, go with the thing, like, okay, I haven't shown you the step size also. Okay, wait a second. As I said, the slicing is a bit important when it comes to Python. Let me see, Anish. Okay. After that, a of I want like after that I press another colon and do two. Two. The last one is like step size. It will print between the values like the second. Okay, I have to print. Sorry. Useful. After this, you can see that the step size is two, so it skips the value n and s. That's it with the string, the slicing and everything. I've explained all the things the slicing. Yeah. Okay. Let me just stop sharing my screen. Okay, that's it with the strings, and after that, yeah, another coding mentor will take the other topic. Now, yeah, I'll give it over to you.
Yeah, okay, Anish. So far, do you have any doubts you can post down here? I will be starting the session within a minute. Okay. So now I'm going to explain about the exception handling in Python. Let me share the PPT. So what is an exception? Before you gonna talk about exception, you need to be very clear about what is an error and how it is different from exception. So errors are the problems in a program due to which the program will stop the execution. If at all your if at all your program has some problems in your code, then errors occur in your program and it will stop the execution. Whereas the exceptions will be raised when some internal error occurs and it changes the normal flow of the program. Let's see this in detail. Your program may be syntactically correct, but the code inside the program might have an error present in it. Therefore, though the execution of the program is done, but it changes the normal flow of the program when the exception occurs. For example, here if we see the marks equals to 10,000 and we assign a value a equals to marks divided by 0 and we are printing the value of a. As we all know, if some number is divided by 0, then the value will be undefined. So you get the traceback error, and the error is zero division error, where you, as we are dividing the number with 0, it has raised the exception as zero division error. So there are two types of exceptions in Python. One is a user-defined exception and other is built-in exceptions in Python. Python has a list of built-in exceptions. Let's see some of them. So these are the most commonly used built-in exceptions in Python. Like as we already have discussed about the zero division error, it occurs when the number is divided by 0. And the name error, it occurs when a name is not found. It may be local or global, it doesn't matter. And indentation error, if you have given the indentation wrongly, if your indentation is incorrect, then it will raise an indentation error. And this is the indentation error is the most common error which you always find during the code, during the execution of your code. So be careful while giving the indentation because this is the most commonly occurred raised exception in your code. And IO error is generally input-output error. It occurs when the input-output operation fails. You will be having the IO error. And EOF error is also known as it occurs end of file error. It occurs when the end of file is there, and end of file when the program reaches the end of file, and yet the operations are to be performed, then we have the end of file error. So the main concept here is handling the exceptions in Python, exception handling. For this, we have two statements like try and except block, which are used to catch and handle the exceptions in Python. Here, if we see the statements in the try block are used to uh, here the statements can raise the exceptions which are kept in the try block. If at all you feel that your code has some exceptions to be raised, then put your all the code in the try block and then followed by except block, which will be handling the exception. The syntax of this is try and then block of code and then except and then some other block of code. And next, multiple exceptions. Python allows you to give multiple exceptions. Like you can have if at all your program has a multiple exceptions in the try block, like, as we have already seen, like built-in exceptions, you have a IO error, input error, zero division error. You can all specify this in the except block. Like exception 1 is like zero division error, exception 2 is like input output error, exception 3 is like a EOF error, and so on. And then the block of code. And at the bottom, you will be having else block and the block of code. If at all your try block exception doesn't match with the exception which is in the except block, then the control automatically shifts towards the else block and the code inside the block will be get executed. Let me show you this in detail with some program. Just a second. Yeah. Like we have already seen, we need to keep a try block. Place our code, which do we expect that it would raise an exception, and let me give a equals to 5 by 0. Here it definitely raises an exception, as we have already discussed, like it is undefinite value. So I'm giving directly an except block here. And you can just mention any multiple exceptions, or you can directly skip the except block. Like, let me see, except, and I will be print can't divide. And let me execute this code. You can see the try block statement has raised the 0 division error here, and the control has shifted to the except block, in which you haven't still mentioned any exceptions to be added. So the output had printed as can't divide. Now let's add some exceptions in this to take it as multiple exceptions. I'm adding like arithmetic error, and also IO error. And then let me give again a else block. Let's run the code. Yeah, as you see, here the arithmetic error is nothing, is zero division error comes under the arithmetic error. You can give here 0 division error or arithmetic error, it doesn't matter. And your code have gone to this try block, and then as it is divided by 0, it raised an exception of 0 division error, which is also called arithmetic error, and the control is then terminated to except block. And now we have the print statement in except block, like can't divide. And if at all, if we give something as 2, then let's see. Yeah. See, here it doesn't here it did not raise any error like 0 division error, because we haven't introduced 0 here. We are not dividing this number by 0. So we will be skipping this block, and the control will be directly coming out of this block, and it will be printing executed. Next, let's see. In PPT. Let's see the just a minute. Yeah, after multiple exceptions, we do have a try and finally block. In Python, Python provides an optional finally statement, which is used along with the try statement. It is executed no matter what the code we have given in the try block. If even though it raises an exception, or if it doesn't raise an exception, the finally block code will be executed. Whether if we mention an except after the try block and give the exception, specify the block of code under it, and it may execute or not execute, depends on the code which you have written in the try block. But when you have finally block in your code, no matter what the exception raised in the try block, this block finally block will be get executed. Let me show you that too. See here, as we already done this, we will be adding here itself finally. And I'll be writing print finish. And let's compile this. Yeah. Here, as we already discussed, here the error has not been raised because it is not the zero division error or arithmetic error, and the control is shifted to else block where we have a print where the value is printed as executed, and irrespective of the error raised or not raised in the try block, the control will be directly shifting towards the finally block, and the statements inside the finally block will be executed no matter even if the error is raised. Let's see this. See here the error is raised, arithmetic error, and we have got an output as can't divide, and the else block is skipped as it is an error exception raised, and finally block is printed normally as it is not in the view of the try block, not in the control. It will be printed. So let's see the PPT again. So next topic is about raising exceptions. An exception can be raised forcefully by using a raise clause in the Python. If at all you are gonna raise some user-defined exception, like a built-in exception or user-defined exception, both can be raised by using the raise clause in the Python. You can raise the user-defined exception, like you can give your own name for the exceptional type, and before it you need to add just the raise clause so that you can run your code. And the syntax is very quite simple. It is just raise and exception class, and this value based on upon your code, this will be executed. Let me share the screen and show the example. Let me remove the code. Try, and let me give as age equals to we are taking the input from the user, int input, enter age, and then we are gonna give the condition like age is less than 18 years. Then I'm using the raise. Let me take this as a value error. This is a type of user-defined error. And then I'll keeping the else block. If at all this error is not raised, then the control will be shifted to the else block, and what I'm writing inside the else block will be printed. Let's see. The age is valid. Next, come out of this, and here I'm raising the exception. Except value error. Print. Not valid. Let's see what the output is. Enter age. It is asking to me to enter age. I'm just entering 12. And see, you can see as we have already discussed about the built-in errors, name error is also a built-in error where we have got that value error. Here I have entered it as VALUE, and here by mistake I have entered as VALUE, and it has raised an exception as value error is a error in your code. Now I have just corrected it, and let me show this again. Enter age, I'm entering 12. Why is it already? Okay, sorry, V is capital. Yeah, not valid, because the 12 is less than 18 and it goes exception is raised, and we have raised an exception of value error, and the else block will be skipped and the control will be going towards except value error, and here we have a not valid in the print statement. So here it will be printed as not valid. If at all we give like something as, again let me run, if at all we give as 56, here it is there as the age is valid. Here the else block, the exception is didn't raise, so the statements under the else block is executed. So I hope I'm clear. So if you even don't specify any error like user defined error, or let me take it as a zero error or something as this, even though you will be getting the output valid output. Let me take another example, like a equals to something as 2 by 0, and let me put trace 0 division error, and then I'm keeping else print no error, and here I'm keeping the except block, except zero division error, and print does error. Sorry for the net interruption, it is running. It's invalid syntax. Let me check it again. What that happened? Let me try with other code. Like let me just put a normal code where there is no exception raised, and let me just put as except, and print zero division, and here I'm gonna give else block, else print the value of print executed. Let me run this. Yeah, I haven't put any, I haven't raised any error, and it is directly coming into this, as it is divided by 0, it is directly coming into the loop of except block, and here it is executed as 0 division. If at all I give it as 2 or 3, then it would be printed as executed. So PPT. Any doubts so far? So this is all about what we have discussed. I have completed the raising of exceptions and a try block, built-in exception handling, and where the block of statement which you feel like they would be raising an exception, you will be keeping in the try block, and the except block would be the block where you will be having the exceptions to be raised, which will be working on the try block exceptional cases and then produces the output. And we have also seen the example for multiple exceptions where I have given the arithmetic error and also the IO error, and we have got the output. And also in this is in the else case also we have seen it. And next for try and finally block also. Here the finally block will be executed no matter what the exception had raised in the try block. And finally, we have gone through the raising of exceptions. It may be a user-defined or a built-in exceptions. So any doubts so far, you can just post here. And there is an attendance link shared in the Meet. You have to fill the link so that you will be gaining the attendance and also receiving the certificate from the Coding Cups and also from the end of Coding Ninjas. So do fill the attendance form. So there is still time. Let me show you with other examples also so that you can easily understand the concept clearly. We do have still 20 minutes left over. So we can, let's take this try and the equals to int input, enter, and v equals to int input. And let me divide c equals to a by b. Print a by, and just let me give print c directly, and I'm raising here the exception except. Sorry, I haven't discussed like how the exception statement will be using the exception variable. Except statement will be using the except variable. So if at all we can, if at all all if you want to have an except variable for the exception class, you can use it with the as keyword. Let me show you. Exception as E, raising an exception as E, and then I'm printing on divide, and then I'm here giving the print E. As we have mentioned as exception as E, it is the variable which is assigned to the exception. And here in the else part, let me give, sorry, print divide, and let's see the output. Enter, it is asking, let me enter 10, and so enter 5, and here it is directly divided, as we didn't enter any 0, because here as we are dividing, if at all we keep a 0 in place of B, then it might have executed as can't divide. But as we didn't mention any 0, it is directly, the control is directly skipped to else block, and we have got the answer as divide, and we also have got the answer as 2, 5, 10 divided by 5 is 2. Let me give some other output like 3 and 0. Yeah, see here. Here we have got the error as can't divide, as we have given in the exception as E, where we have mentioned as E is the variable of assigned to the exception, and in print we have mentioned as can't divide. So here we have got the can't divide except can't divide statement executed, and here as the exception raised, and as it is the 0 division error, here we got the condition as division by 0. So the statement cannot be executed, and it doesn't give the output as we expect. So the exception is raised, and we got the output as can't divide and the division by 0. So I hope I'm clear till here. Any doubts so far? You can just post. I have took the example in this, in exception handling, we have mentioned this. Here we can give after except block, we have to give as exception as E. Then it will be E variable will be assigned to the class of exception, and the code gets executed. I hope the functions haven't completed yet, so I'm not taking any example with functions right now, because we do have many examples, like many coding with this exception dealing with the functions, and also the OOPS concept like class constructors and everything. So wherever you go, there will be a concept lying behind as exceptions. So any queries, so on, you can just say. And we also have other two mentors also. You can just post the queries. So a quick recap. The difference between the error and exception. Errors will be in the program. If at all your program code has an error, then the loop it stops the execution of the program, and the exceptions will be raised only when the internal events occurs, some internal errors occurs. It changes the flow of the program but not the complete program. It here, as you can see here, the output is we do have output, but we have the output as zero division error. It raised the exception of zero division error. And similarly, as in the above previous example, I have shown the raising of name error. If at all you mention something as a zero division or like this, it will be having the zero division error or name error, indentation error. And we have completed all this. And exception handling also, we have seen the try block and statements executed inside the try block only when the only we will be writing the statements inside the try block if at all we assume that they might raise an exception, and the except block will handle the exceptions that are raised by the try block. And we have also seen the multiple exceptions with the zero division error, arithmetic error, IO error. And finally, the else block will be executed only when the statements in the try block are not into the except block exceptions. If at all the except block exceptions doesn't match with the exception that is raised in the try block, then the else block will be executed. And we have also seen an example of try and finally block. No matter what the exception raised in the try block, even if it has an exception in the except block, or even if it doesn't has, the finally block will be executed. And we have also seen the raising of exceptions also. You have to use the raise clause. This is very important to raise an exception because most of the questions will be asked for you using the raising exceptions itself. So you need to use the raise clause to raise some exceptions and try it on your code. So this is all about exceptions for today's class. So any doubts till now? You can just post it. So far no doubts. So today we have today discussed about the strings, loop, and also exceptions. We have all the coding mentors here. Loops is discussed by Chinni Krishna, and Nish have discussed strings, and myself I discussed about the exception handling. And the coming class, that is on Saturday, we will be dealing with the C, and on Friday we'll be dealing with C. And the concepts are like array 1D, 2D, and functions and types of functions. Array 1D, 2D will be going on with Manish, and Satvik will be taking up with functions, types of functions, and recursive functions. So do attend the session next Friday also, and next Saturday we will be having the session similar as Python. So that's all for today. Let's end the session here.